Hello, my name is Dr. James Gill and welcome back to my kitchen. It's been a little while since we filmed in here, but I wanted to try and put this one out relatively rapidly to try and address some conversations I've had with patients over the last few days. So I've had some patients asking me about the need to wear face masks and whether or not they can have exemptions for various reasons. Now, there are some patients that do qualify for exemptions from the face mask. There are very few respiratory problems that would actually preclude a patient from wearing a face mask. And if I'm honest, the larger majority of medically needed exclusions are due to mental health disorders, such as learning difficulties, anxiety, feeling claustrophobia, things like that. In which case, we need to make allowances for those patients. But there are a much broader range of patients that are worried about wearing face masks. And I have encountered some people recently on Twitter and in other social media fields where they've been very, what's the phrase I need here? Very harmful, very dangerous, spreading misinformation that face masks are bad, that you're going to end up with raised carbon dioxide levels, that they will cause fainting. And I want to be really clear. I am not getting political and I won't engage in that sort of thing. What I am getting is scientific, because that is what I used to be before I went to medical school. Before becoming a doctor, I did a BSc in animal science and then a master's in immunology and allergy. So with this whole COVID thing, I do literally have a working background there. But what I want to talk today about is face masks. Because of the comments that people have said, I've collected a few face masks. So we've got my Synchro Racing Power Mask from Respro, which, very nice, very racing yellow, with two large filters, making it particularly useful for sports when you're actually blowing out a large amount of waste gases. Here we've got a DAC filter, and there's also a HEPA filter with this. So this is actually going to be really, really effective at filtering out fumes when I'm cycling along, as well as giving a considerable degree of protection, certainly compared to the other masks here. We've got my standard medically provided face mask. If I'm honest, isn't the best. Simply goes around your ears, and there's nothing there to keep the steam going to your nose. If I'm perfectly honest, this is one stage slightly better than the buff, and it is going to be providing more adequate protection against droplets and spillage. We've got the slightly better surgical face mask, with a nose guard no less, to theoretically prevent fogging up by the glasses. I personally prefer to work in these, and we're going to be tying it round the back of your head so your ears don't get so irritated, and a nice bit of metal to ensure it's conforming to your nose and around your face. Again, not hugely effective against aerosols, but it's certainly going to be effective against droplets and providing a degree of protection. We've got an older Cambridge mask, which is washable and has a vent to it. We compare that with the two vents that we have on the Respro mask. We've got a single vent on here, but the material is apparently washable to extend the life of the mask. And we've got a small bit of wire in the top to try and help it stick across your nose and prevent steaming the glasses slightly more effectively. And finally, we have a piece of cloth, or known to many people and branded as a buff. Nothing particularly fancy here. But although this one does have an insect guard to it from my Adventures, and supposedly protective of high UV indexes. So what we're going to do is, I was going to go for a run, hence this get-up, and I was going to run up a rather steep hill and check my pulse sats with an oxygen monitor as we're doing so. Now, this is designed to go on your finger and tell myself as a clinician how much oxygen is going from your mouth through to your fingertips. It's not going to be the best at bouncing around, but we're going to try. As a second measure, we're going to be using a Garmin Fenix 6X with a pulse oximetry meter built into it. Pulse oximetry meter. Now, I've personally used this at Everest Base Camp, so I know that it's good in the wilds. And whilst this is a relatively new device, I see no reason why, given it has the certification to talk about pulse oximetry, that we can't rely on the data. There's some other videos from a really useful chap called DC Rainmaker, who's talked more about the pulse ox on the Fenix series if you want to dig into that. So what we're going to do, we're going to go and get to this ridiculous hill. I am going to run up and down it in each of these various masks. And we're going to have a look how my pulse sats progress across the run. To make things fair, we're going to make sure that we check my pulse sats and pulse oximetry at the start of the run, at the very base, and then we'll see if these masks affect my oxygen saturation during the run. Okay, so I'll be perfectly honest, one of the reasons why I'm in my sports get-up to start off with is that I planned to go out, do all the recording, and then appropriately record here. However, it's absolutely bucketing it down. So given I've only got a short period of time to get this together, I've changed around the orders in which I'm doing things. Right, with that in mind, let's get testing. Do you ever have one of those days when you wish that you'd just not decided to do something? Well, it's now continuing to rain even more. But I'm at the base of the hill and we've got the standard pulse ox sats. Now it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not my cold fingers are affecting the sats rate. Okay, so I've got 100% sats at the moment. So we're going to run from the top to the bottom and try not to kill myself. So on with the Respro mask first. Mumble, mumble, mumble. Assume I said something very impressive and clever. Definitely. Right. So all of these are done from this first marker. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Off we go. Numbers. So that's got me at 97. Now we'll try and pull up the Garmin. Alright. Okay. Just now Garmin is at 99. And that is also at 99. Well, I'm getting far wetter than I intended to be, but this is showing 99 on 135, and the watch has 99 as well. Okay, so we've done the Cinqro Mask. Now it's time for the Cambridge mask. I'm not the biggest fan of the world of this. As you'll see, I'm going to steam up quite considerably. Yes, let's put this on. not the easiest thing in the world. Right. See, I'm really not a fan of this mask. Right, okay, so that's all on. Let's shoot these and then we're good to go. Seriously, this one is not a good mask for being outside and being in the cold in. But my saturations should be okay. I can't see that at the minute, so bear with me a second. Oh, right. So I'm starting all of the runs from this post and getting right the way to the top. So literally to shoot this one, because I can't see anything, I've had to take my glasses off. And I've got a mask, so I can't hold my glasses in my teeth, which is what I normally do. Arr. Nobody said masks were easy, we're just saying that there's no problem with your saturations. Bear with me a moment. Now my problem is that my fingers are cold. See? Oh, there we go. 100% and 100 pulse. That does say 100. Let's just wipe that off, so hopefully you can see it in a better orientation. There we go, 100, 100. And we are definitely wearing the most annoying mask. We've got the same there, confirmed on the Fenix. Off we go, top of the hill. Oh, there we go. 98. Hate these masks. Well, at least one benefit with the buff, you've got something that you can wipe your glasses with. Well, theoretically, actually, all I've managed to do is smear it. Remind me whose good idea this was? Okay. Now, whilst this is going to be the easiest to breathe in, I'm certain of that, it's certainly the least effective in terms of COVID protection. And personally, I think you look the most aggressive in it, but that's another issue. Right. So, I'm going to head back to the start, and we'll see how we're doing this. This is much easier to wear. So I'm going to use this with 2 layers, not one. Okay, so one there. Okay, so yeah. There you go. So we've got 2 layers on that. So hopefully we should do all right. Now, to start off with the buff, we're sitting at 99. Okay. On with the buff. Beginning to steam up already. And let's bring up the sats. So there's our start marker. Let's go. I really hate this hill. Fair to say, I do not like this. When you breathe in. Okay, so we've done the Respro mask, we've done the Cambridge mask, we've done the buff. Now let's move on to our 2 surgical masks. So I've got the straightforward one here. Let's put that on. Up around the ears. And then pinning it down over the nose. It amazes me how many people I see walking around without the nose covered. You're still breathing in things through the nose. You need to have the whole thing covered, including the nose there. Okay, so let's video our sats and things. So, as my hands are getting wetter, it's getting harder to get this thing to pick up a trace. There we go, I think it's found me. Yeah, there we go. Numbers are going up now, and this is the thing. It's very easy to have a picture of somebody showing a low sats and lie and try and get false information, but it's very difficult to do it when you're actually on an uncut video. Okay, so let's have another run. for what it's worth, physically running in these paper masks is much less hard work than on the buff. I really didn't like how that was going into your mouth all the while. So here's a hot tip to improve your fitness. Hill repeats in a mask. Masks off. Just made it. And onto okay, 133, and that's 98. Still wearing this thing. Much better for running in than either of the two masks, but it does provide less protection. Right, last one. Right, so final one. Now we're doing the surgical mask, which is actually my preference to work in. It's much more comfortable, but I'm glad it's the final one because I'm wet and cold and hungry and don't like it and moaning, and I'm going to stop now. Let's give this one a go. Behind. Oh, I dropped the pulse sats meter, and that's expensive. Okay, 1, 2. I'm seriously steaming up already. Right. Let's see if this is completely broken. Let's take the glasses off too. Oh, got a baseball cap on. There we go. It lives. Okay, so I'm dropping everything today. Thankfully, not scratched. Okay, so on with the finger pulse. Out with the phone. So I'm going to go from the start. Okay, 105, 100. So right from the get-go, but I want to show a good trace there. So it's one thing people showing you pictures of bad sats, but it's quite another than giving you a rolling video of their saturations as they're wearing the mask. Okay. Right, with that note, let's go for the run. Okay, now I use the Respro mask a lot to cycle into work, and it's great for protecting me from fumes and cars and things like that, but this is much more comfortable to run in. But I can feel it getting soggy already, so whereas I've had that Respro mask over a year and I just replaced the filters. Okay, top of the hill, 164, 99%. Still wearing the mask. So, actually I can take the thing off. So that's the conclusion you need. Masks don't affect your saturations. Particularly not even running up that hill.